Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Grace. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are doing blueberry vanilla cake mix cookies. Super easy, great way to sneak in fruits. Makes for a nice sweet dessert. And it's got white chocolate chips. All right, we are gonna start by putting our cake mix into our bowl. I'm going to put all the ingredients and directions in the description below, and I'm going to use a French vanilla cake mix. All right. And I'm going to use 2 eggs. Got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. And I am going to add in about a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm honestly going to eyeball it. I bake a lot, so I'm pretty good at not having to use the measuring spoons, but that was 1 teaspoon of vanilla. We're gonna use some canola oil. You could use vegetable oil if you want. We're gonna do half a cup. I'm gonna give this a nice, good mix. I love cake mix recipes because you don't have to get out the hand mixer. Speaking of delicious cookies, you guys, I did some butterscotch chocolate chip cookies recently. And I will link to some of my favorite cookie recipes. Sea salt chocolate chip cookies, cherry almond Amish sugar cookies. Oh my goodness, yum. I love holiday baking. It is spring though, and so I was like, we need some kind of a spring cookie. So came up with the blueberry vanilla. All right, this is mixed in pretty well. And I am going to start with the chocolate chips. I'm using white chocolate chips. Ooh, that bag opened up quickly there. And you want about a cup. There's about 2 cups of chocolate chips in a bag of Nestle chocolate chips, the regular size. So that's kind of a good way to gauge if you don't have your measuring cup. You want about half a bag there. I'm going to mix these in, and then we're going to gently mix our blueberries in. I say gently because we don't want to squish the blueberries too much. It's a great way to use up blueberries. If you ever buy the giant sized ones at Costco, great way to use up blueberries. Throw them in some cookies. I have a container that we're using up from last week, and then a fresh container. And you want about a good cup and a half worth of blueberries. And then you gotta gently, as gently as you can. They're gonna smash down a little bit, especially as they bake and soften. Gotta really fold those blueberries in there. All right, we're gonna get our baking dish and get these baking. I'm just going to use a teaspoon to scoop my cookie dough out. Usually I'll use like an ice cream scooper, but I kind of want to be gentle with these blueberries. What is your favorite cookie recipe to make, or kind of cookie I should say? Leave that in the comments below. By the way, I will leave a link in the description below for the Pinterest pin for this cookie recipe so you can pin and save it and share it and come back to it over and over again. Speaking of coming back to you, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can get notified every time I share a new recipe. All right, I think my cookie dough, little cookie blobs here are about the same size. I'm gonna bake these in the oven for probably about 7 minutes. Every oven's a little different. Again, doing them at 350 degrees. Keep an eye on them, but you want these cookies to be just slightly underbaked. That way they stay soft. You don't want them crunchy because blueberries are soft and you want to have a soft cookie. I'll show you what they look like when they're all finished. Look at these cookies. They smell delicious. I'll be honest, I snuck a bite of the cookie dough while these ones were baking, and it's so good. These are the blueberry, vanilla, white chocolate cookies, cake mix cookies. I hope you all like this recipe. Your family is going to love these cookies. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Grace. Today I am making a breakfast family favorite. We are doing a berry croissant breakfast casserole. It's like a twist take on some overnight French toast bake. I love this recipe because it's, first of all, it's fruity and it's sweet and it's delicious, but it's perfect for family get-togethers, holiday breakfasts. This is a great Christmas morning type of breakfast, or if your kids are home on school break or they're back home from college, this is just one of those everybody loves it kind of recipes. I am going to do a smaller version of this recipe for my video this morning, but in the description below, I'm leaving the full size recipe, which feeds 8 to 10 people. So I am making my version to feed 4 to 6. And so if you are wanting the bigger full version, use the amounts in the description below. Otherwise, you can use the amounts that I am using today to make this casserole. You can use for berries, you can use raspberries, blueberries are usually my go-to. Sometimes I throw in some strawberries, basically whatever berries you've got on hand. We're gonna use about 2 to 3 cups of berries. And you want to start out by cutting up or pulling apart your croissants. So this recipe is really versatile, which I love. We had a huge thing of croissants from Costco that we had used for chicken salad sandwiches, and we have a few croissants left over, and I was like, how can I use these up? This is one of those recipes that uses up what you got in the kitchen. So with your fruit, with your croissants or your French toast bread, like if you've got a bunch of extra bread, maybe you did some sourdough or something, a great way to use it all up. Basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut and or pull apart your croissants into bite-sized pieces, like 1-inch pieces. I feel like pulling the croissants apart is easier than cutting them. And we're gonna kind of pre-toast these. So we're gonna go ahead and pull all these apart. And because I only have 3 croissants left, I am using some French toast bread. So the extra thick Texas toast style bread. I use about 2 slices of Texas toast bread for every croissant that I'm missing. So just a little reference there. Get these all tore up. We're gonna toast these in the oven for, I don't know, maybe 5 to 7 minutes. You just want to crisp them up a little bit. I've lightly tossed my croissant and bread pieces together, and I have pre-spaced pre-sprayed my baking pan, and you can see this makes a lot. This is not the full amount. So feel free again to adjust the recipe based on how many people you are going to feed. I'm going to toast these in the oven for just a few minutes, let them crisp up quick. While the croissants and the toast are crisping up in the oven, I'm going to get together our topping, and we are going to get our hand mixer out and beat together our cream cheese, our sugar, our eggs, our half and half, the lemon juice, and the vanilla until it's nice and smooth. So this recipe calls for 12 ounces of cream cheese, which is 1.5 blocks of cream cheese for the actual bake. And then we're gonna use another 2 ounces of cream cheese later for the lemon glaze. Oh yeah, that lemon glaze is amazing. So I'm gonna start by putting my cream cheese in here. Get a big bowl for this. And so even though I am making a smaller batch of this recipe, I still like the full amount of toppings, so I'm not adjusting the toppings that are going to go in the croissant bake at all, okay? And feel free to make adjustments based on what you would like to make for your casserole. Again, my recipes are usually always versatile for you. We are going to add in 1 cup of sugar, we are going to add in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And I always add in a sprinkle of cinnamon. Just adds a little extra flavor. And then this recipe calls for half and half. Now, I do not use regular milk ever for this recipe. I almost always use half and half. However, I happen to have heavy whipping cream left to use up in my fridge. And so this is a great way to use up what you have on hand. So I'm going to use heavy whipping cream and not half and half, but you may use half and half. That is what the original recipe I use calls for. We need about 1.5 cups. And that's perfect because it's going to use up that half and half for me. And now we have to add our eggs. I am going to go ahead and use all 4 eggs. If you're making a smaller batch, you're welcome to use just 3. If you're looking for some other breakfast ideas, I have a peaches and cream French toast bake, buttermilk blueberry breakfast cake. Those are both awesome crowd pleasers. Got our breakfast country casserole with like eggs and veggies and ham in it. I will link to the breakfast playlist above so you can go check out those ideas as well. Okay, we're ready to mix this. All right, so the croissants have kind of crisp toasted up in the oven for like 5 minutes or so. And what I have done is I have pulled the top half out because you want to put this casserole together in layers. And I'm going to scoot this a little bit closer here so we can see it. Your pan's going to be a little hot, so be careful. Make sure you got your pot holders there. Now we're going to put our fruit in. So I'm going to grab my raspberries. We're going to just sprinkle the fruit on. Now this recipe, normally you would put it in the fridge. You can do an overnight. You could put it in the fridge for good, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours. That really lets the croissants and the toast absorb all of our filling. But you don't have to. I have made this recipe before and put it in the fridge for like 3 to 4 hours and then gone and put it in the oven. So do what you need to do with it. It's a versatile recipe. And get my blueberries. I'm gonna sprinkle those blueberries around here. It's a great way to sneak some fruit into your kids' breakfast. Cut. And now we are going to add the rest of our croissant pieces to the top. This casserole will sink down, so it's okay if it's over the top of your pan just a little bit. Add in the next layer of fruit. My layer is just going to be blueberries because I was trying to use up the raspberries I had on hand. Okay. And then we're gonna I'm actually going to use my 1 cup measuring cup to drizzle our cream cheese egg mixture over the top. Okay, now we'll drizzle the rest here. If you would like to, you could add even more berries on top of that. So my pan is hot, well it's warm, so I'm gonna let it cool for probably like 10 minutes before I put it into the refrigerator for a few hours. And while it's chilling, I'm gonna go ahead and make my lemon drizzle for the top for when it's all done. I am ready to bake my croissant berry casserole, and it's been in the fridge for a few hours, so it's soaked up all of that delicious creaminess, and I'm going to bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for, I don't know, maybe 20-25 minutes or so. And then afterwards we will put the glaze on and enjoy for a nice brunch. For this lemon glaze, I'm going to use the same bowl that I just made my cream cheese mixture in for the breakfast casserole. I'm a big believer in saving on dirty dishes. And this recipe is going for the lemon glaze, calls for 2 ounces of cream cheese. And again, we're going to get our mixer out and blend this nice and smooth. We want 1 cup of powdered sugar. And if your family's really into glaze on your breakfast bakes, French toast, feel free to double this recipe. It's also going to be in the description below. But I feel like this amount will cover that casserole nicely. And then we're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. Oops, I accidentally did 2. That's okay. Vanilla is always awesome. If you need some other ideas for homemade frosting, I have a plain cream cheese frosting that I use on like pumpkin bars. I have a cinnamon roll frosting that would go really good on this breakfast casserole as well. I will link to these recipes. They're also in the baking playlist. I think we have a cherry frosting recipe that's amazing for cinnamon rolls and cookies. And I think I have another one. What's my other frosting recipe? I have been so busy in the kitchen baking for the holidays, you guys, I kind of forget what all I've been up to. Okay, we're gonna mix this until it's nice, creamy, and smooth. So you can tell it's all nice and smooth, and I am going to put this in a smaller bowl. Now, normally when I do homemade frosting recipes, I go ahead and put them in the fridge But especially if you're going to do an overnight bake, be sure to refrigerate it since there's cream cheese in your frosting recipe. But today I'm taking the shortcut route, you guys. I'm letting my casserole chill in the fridge for about 3.5 hours, and then I am going to bake it. This glaze drizzle goes on after your casserole has baked, okay? So, but I'm gonna keep mine at room temperature because I want it to really kind of have that drizzle effect. All right, we are going to wait until it's time to bake it, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's all ready to serve. Our croissant berry breakfast bake is done, and I have put my glaze, my lemon glaze frosting in the microwave for like 20 seconds or so just to liquid it up just a little bit. It's gonna melt into your croissant bake anyways, but you want to kind of be able to just drizzle it, which we're going to do. Just like so. It's so easy. This recipe is delicious. We are going to love this for brunch today. It makes a perfect holiday weekend, Christmassy breakfast. Last bit of glaze on there. All right, there we are. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you like this video. Be sure to check out some of our other breakfast recipes and crowd-pleasing recipes, and hope you'll subscribe and stick around, and we'll see you next time. Back in the kitchen with Grace. It is late spring, early summer. The days, the afternoons are heating up. I love going out in my garden. I love to sit on the deck and watch the dogs run around, read a book outside. This drink today is refreshing. It's packed with vitamins. It's got some mint in it, and it's just a nice refresher. I feel like it's one of my go-to recipes, and I'm going to share it with you today so that you can enjoy it too. I'll put all the ingredients in the description below for you. And to start off, I have made up some green tea, and I have let it steep for quite a while. I'm going to take the tea bag out here, and we are going to pour this into our little mason jar. If you want to do this, this will make maybe enough for 2 to 3 people to have a small glass. But if you want to make a bigger version, you can totally double or triple this recipe and make it in a large pitcher. I have definitely done that before. I'm going to go ahead and pour my green tea on into my jar. And we are going to add in, and then we are going to add in some blueberry lemonade. You could totally do a homemade version. I'm going to cheat a little bit with the store-made, store-bought. We're going to fill up this jar, not quite to the top. And I am going to add in some fresh blueberries. Add in however many blueberries you want to. I have also been known to add in a couple of cucumber slices. Ooh, gotta love cucumber water. I'm gonna add in some fresh mint leaves, straight from the herb garden. I love using herbs. I love mint. Mint is actually one of my favorites, and I am going to put all of these except like 1 or 2 leaves into my jar. And I have a couple of lemon slices. I'm going to save lemon slice halves, half for each glass that you are going to be filling up. Otherwise, go ahead and put these lemon slices on into your jar. Oh yeah. I'm going to put the lid on this We're gonna give it a nice little shake. I love using the green tea in this recipe. Green tea has so many health benefits. Now this is totally up to you. I am gonna pour some for myself right away and serve it with some ice cubes. But you can totally chill this in your refrigerator till you are ready to serve it. I'm gonna add my little lemon garnish slice here. See if it'll stay on. This is an itty bitty little lemon. And we're gonna put our mint leaves in. I'm gonna go ahead and pour some of this right on in. If you have lavender growing in your garden, we'll put a little bit of lavender in here. Oh, that is so good to have with blueberry. All right, I am going to enjoy this little refresher this afternoon. I'm gonna save this for sipping on throughout the week. Be sure to subscribe, you guys. Got all sorts of easy, delicious recipes that you can make at home that your family and friends will love. If you're looking for some other drink ideas, I have rosemary tangerine cooler with rum. Oh, yum, yum. That is definitely a mother's afternoon delight. I have a twist, an Irish twist on iced coffee. I have got a fresh mint mocha, again, using up my favorite mint there, and iced blackberry Earl Grey tea. You're gonna be able to find these recipes on our YouTube channel, so be sure to check out what all we have. We're also on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, and I hope you all enjoy this recipe as much as I do, and we'll see you next time. Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Grace. Today I am doing a super easy, delicious blueberry peach cobbler in the crock pot. Super easy dessert recipe that works great for take-alongs, get-togethers, potlucks, and it makes a dessert for dinner just lickety-split. All right, so what I love about this recipe is you can interchange the kinds of fruit that you use. Today I'm doing blueberry peach. I am going to use some fresh blueberries, and I have some frozen Firestone peach slices and some canned, frozen and drained, they're drained, Firestone peach slices. I've got about 2.5 cups of peaches and maybe 2 cups of blueberries that we're going to use today. And as we put this together in our slow cooker, I'm going to the first step is to kind of get your fruit blended together and resting in their glaze, I guess you could call it. The second step is to prepare the cobbler breading that we're going to actually put as the first layer in our crock pot. Then we put the fruit on, and then we pour buttermilk on top. Oh my gosh. You guys, I am smelling this already, and I haven't even gotten started. All right, so to prepare your fruit, you're gonna put your fruit into a bowl, and again, you can interchange this. Cherries, strawberries, whatever you wanna use, go for it. I personally love the blueberry peach combination. I'm gonna sprinkle in my blueberries. If you're using fresh fruit, again, keep an eye out in case there's a rare one that doesn't look so hot, you can pluck it out. Mine look great. Okay, we are going to add in 3 teaspoons of sugar. Tablespoons, sorry, not teaspoons, guys. 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. We're baking, we're playing with dessert today. You gotta get a little messy if you're doing a little baking. That is my philosophy. Okay, and then we are going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Honestly, I'm just gonna eyeball it. You know 2 things about me, y'all, if you've been around for a while. I love the slow cooker and I love vanilla. Okay, we're gonna mix this together, and chocolate. Chocolate and coffee. Okay. You just kind of want to get that cornstarch, sugar, vanilla mixed into the natural fruit juice, and we're going to set that aside and let it sit for a while. while we prepare our dough. Right, we are going to start with 1.5 cups of flour. I also like this recipe. You don't have to be super precise with the ingredients. We are going to do 1/3 cup of sugar, white sugar. It's about 1/3. We are going to do 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. This is also a kid-friendly recipe. My daughter loves to help in the kitchen, and this is something that's super easy for her to help make. So we got 1.5-ish. We're gonna add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Really, it's just a little more than a pinch. And we're gonna add in 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. This recipe does not call for oats. If you are somebody who likes to do oats, feel free to add some in. I love to have oats as like a crumbly topping, especially apple crisp. You guys, I have the best apple crisp recipe. I kid you not. Go check it out. I will link to it. I don't care what season it is. Apple crisp is amazing. But if you want to add in some oats, feel free to do that on top or in with your fruit blend. Totally doesn't matter. I'm going to give this a quick stir, and then we're going to chop up our butter a little bit. And oh, cinnamon smells amazing. Okay. You want to have 5 tablespoons of cold butter. I'm just going to kind of pre-measure here. Okay. I like to finely slice it up. I think it comes apart easier and crumbles into your flour mixture better. Just like this. Super easy, and then you can just kind of let it kind of naturally comes apart in your bowl. And we're gonna mix this in until this whole thing gets a little bit crumbly. I do is I take the remaining 3 tablespoons of that stick of butter and I slightly melt it in the microwave, and then I pour it in, and that really helps draw the flour together. And you can see that your butter, it kind of crumbles up into little itty bitty pieces. It gets the flour stuck to it and will kind of come together pretty well. So spray your slow cooker. I like to use a liner with this recipe especially. Spray it with your cooking spray, and then you're gonna take your flour butter combination here and you're gonna press it. Well, kind of press it. I don't wanna say like super firmly. You're going to kind of press it down a little bit so that it fills the whole bottom layer of your crock pot. You want to save a little bit, maybe about a cup's worth, and we're going to sprinkle that on the top. And then you're going to take your fruit mixture, give it another little stir quick now that the sugar and the vanilla have kind of had a chance to blend in, and then you're going to pour your fruit right over the top of your cobbler batter and spread your fruit out nicely. And then you're going to take your remaining flour mixture, put it on top. This kind of gives it a little bit of that crumbly. If you wanted to use the oats, this is where you would use your oats. And then we need our buttermilk. We're going to do about 1/3 cup of buttermilk. Honestly, I tend to use almost a half a cup. I always pour half a cup and slowly drizzle. It doesn't require a ton. You want to slowly drizzle it over the top of your fruit, and then it kind of soaks in. Kind of depends. If you're using that smaller, like a taller crock pot, it doesn't really require as much because there's not as much space to cover. And then it will kind of sink and drizzle down in as it bakes. Okay, we are going to put the lid on, and I am going to let this cook on the low heat for about 4 hours. I'll check it at the 2-hour mark. If you need to cook it on high, you could do it on high for about 2.5 to 3 hours maybe. Again, if you're going to do high, definitely keep a closer eye on it because you don't want it to burn. And we will come back and check on this later, you guys. It's going to make your whole house smell amazing. Oh my goodness, this smells so good. This is going to be a delicious dessert tonight. Thank you all so much. I hope you love this recipe. Thank you for sharing our recipes over on Pinterest. We'll see you guys next time.